Hey everybody, this is Mr. Bostic coming at you again with another Adobe Premiere tutorial. Today we are going to go over how to import footage, how to add footage to your source monitor, how to set in and out points in your footage, how to put footage into your timeline, how to add some video transitions, and how to modify your effects controls. Alright, so first off, obviously you've got to open up Adobe Premiere. Alright, to do that, we're going to go to our Finder. We're going to find a window, Applications, Adobe Premiere Pro CS6 or 5, whichever version you're using, and open up the program. It's going to load. Alright, we're going to do a new project. We're not going to worry about this stuff right now because we're just doing some stuff on the fly just for practice. It's going to tell me that that project already exists because I haven't been naming anything, so it saves all your stuff into a folder. Since I haven't been naming it, it all comes up the same name. It's asking me, do I want to overwrite it? That's fine. Yes. Just comes up standard 48. That's fine. Click OK. Here we are in Adobe Premiere. Alright. First thing we've got to figure out how to do is how to import footage. Premiere is a program that's going to allow you to take multiple pieces of footage and to chop them up, put them together in your timeline, and create a movie. Alright, but you have to have the footage first to create the movie. So we're going to go and we're going to import some footage. One way you can import footage is by using your menu bar. You can go to your file menu and choose import. That's one way. Or the easier way to me, I just go into my project panel. I go into the empty area underneath my sequence. You gotta have a sequence. If you don't have a sequence, you won't have a timeline. And which is actually a problem I found a lot of students end up having. They'll open it up and for some reason they end up deleting the sequence file. When you do that, you lose your timeline. If that happens, you can easily get it back. Just go to File, New, Sequence. And that pulls this back up. Leave it at your standard. Pull it back up. There you go. But to import your footage, I just put my cursor underneath my sequence area in this empty gray area and double click. Alright, pulls up my import footage dialog box. Alright, the footage I'm going to use is some stuff I got from the videocopilot.net website. Great website. Gives you a lot of information on Adobe After Effects. But it's just the basic training footage. For my students, this folder you should have on your desktop, but it's just called After Effects. And inside of that After Effects folder, there's a folder called basic training files. Alright, and these videos are inside of that basic trainings file. This is just the raw download from Video Copilot. It's just called BT footage. So I'm just going to grab a couple. When you're grabbing your footage, same stuff applies for most programs. You can click on a piece of footage and it'll select. If I want to select a range, so if I want to select girl, LA, Sam, Tino, and Sam Fall, I can hold down my shift key, select the girl.mov, hold down shift, click on Tino Fall, and it'll grab everything in between. If I want to click, select multiple things that aren't next to each other, I can click on one, hold down my command command key on the Mac, control on a PC, and click the individual things that I want to get. So I'm just going to grab these three: girl, Tino Hill, and Tino Reyes. Doesn't matter which ones you grab, and import them. Here we go. So now they're in my project window. So to get them into my source monitor, so I can go through and choose which parts I want, all I have to do is go over here, and it depends on where you click. If you click on the name, it's going to set it so that you can rename it. It's not what I want to do. Every piece of footage has a little icon next to it. My sequence has a different icon. These are videos, so it has a little film strip, audio, I have a speaker, all that good stuff. If you double click on the actual little icon next to the piece of footage, it will load up inside of your source monitor. From here in my source monitor, I've got a couple things I can do. I can play the footage so I can see what it is. And notice I've got this indicator here. When you grab this bad boy, this little yellow thing, and you start dragging it back and forth, that's called scrubbing. All right, so you can scrub through this. If you've got a wheel mouse, your wheel mouse will scrub through it for you. But this way I can choose where I want my video to start. So this is the beginning of the footage, but what if I don't want to use the entire piece of footage? What if I only want a little section of this piece of footage? I can do that. I can move my scrubber to wherever I want to say I want to start here at 1 minute. And I have to tell this, okay, this is where I want to start. So under here, you've got all these little buttons, all right? To tell it where you want the footage to start, you're going to go right here. It's called mark in, or setting an endpoint. All right, you could use the letter I on your keyboard to set it, or you can click on this button. We'll click here. Notice now this is saying this is where my footage is going to start. All right, I can scrub through further. Maybe I want, what do? They get here and they stop. Maybe I want to pull it right when his foot hits the ground, kind of. Somewhere around there, that's fine. I'm going to set it so I don't want the rest of the stuff. I just wanted to end here. So I'm going to set my out point, or mark out. You can hit the O. It'll do it for you. Oh, there you go. So now this is my section that I've decided, hey, this is what I want. So now I can add this to my timeline by just putting my cursor on the actual footage inside of the source monitor, clicking and holding and dragging it down here into my timeline. All right, I'm gonna put it over here to the front. Now, it's gonna tell me that my sequence settings don't match my clip settings. That's okay. I kind of did that on purpose so I can show you some effects and how to change some sizes and stuff. So I'm just gonna hit keep existing settings, and it's good. So notice over here in my program monitor, this is my output. Notice it's much bigger than it looks on here. And that's because my footage is bigger. My footage is bigger than my actual frame, my output frame. All right. Let's take a look down here now. I've got my footage. It's only a couple seconds long. Right around 2 seconds. All right. So it's really tiny here. For my students, you're using Premiere CS5. What you're going to do is you're going to look down here, and it doesn't look exactly the same because I'm using CS6, but somewhere right around this area here, you're going to find a little icon that looks exactly like this. Okay, it's a little slider, and right now if I move that slider, notice the stuff in my project window gets bigger and smaller. All right, this exact same slider is going to be down here somewhere, right down in this area. If I use that and move it, it's going to change the size, my zoom level of my timeline. For Premiere 6, I grab this guy here, drag it over, but if you drag this slider of this icon that's going to be down here in the same area, it's going to do the exact same thing, and it's going to allow you to zoom in to that area of the timeline so you have more space. You can see your actual full piece of your full clip there. All right. So now I've got some footage into my timeline. I've set some in and out points. I've transferred it from my source monitor into my timeline. Now I want to add another piece of footage. So I'm going to go in here, maybe grab, this is the Tino Hill. I can tell right here on the tab, it tells me Sam Tino Hill. Maybe I want to do the Tino Rays. Double click on the icon, and it puts it into your source monitor. I can scrub through, and I see my footage. That's what he does. So maybe I want it to go from here, set my endpoint, it's the letter I on your keyboard. Scroll up, But I want it right when his hands come up, finish coming up. Set my out point, letter O. Drag this into my timeline. Now, I've got multiple levels of my video that I can set. All right. Or I could set it at the end of this one on this same video one channel. It's really up to you how you want to do it. I could set it here. I could set it there. It really doesn't matter. I like to set it next to it so I can see that they're going in line, and I have that. So now, if I look at my program monitor, I can hit play, and you'll see it plays through, and then it goes to the next footage. All right, and that is my output right now. If I was to finish this, if I was to export it, this is what I would have. All right. So now I've got two pieces of footage in here, and they do a straight cut from one thing to another. But what if I wanted to do a transition? What if I wanted it to fade out or do some kind of cool little video transition? All right, now I'm going to come over here to my effects panel. All right, this is where you're going to get that kind of transition. You see you got presets, audio effects, audio transitions, video effects, and video transitions. If I want to add a transition in here, I'm going to go to video because it deals with video channel transitions. And it's got these triangles. If I hit the triangle, it's going to open up. It's going to expand the options underneath. And all these are different video transitions. I suggest you play with them all. Just go in, choose something, and see what it does. There's nothing wrong. You're here to play. The best way to learn this stuff is to play with it and to get some practice. Maybe I want to do I don't know, page pill or iris. I don't really care. I'm just going to grab one iris round. I'll grab this iris round, and I'm going to click and hold and drag it over to my footage. Now, as I drag, notice you see as I get to certain areas, it'll pop up dark. That's telling me that's where my transition is going to go. I can put the transition just on the front, or just on the first piece of footage, or right here it crosses between the two. All right, that's what I'm going to put. I'm going to let it go. I now got iris round here. So now let's see what it does using with the default. So if I scrub through here, you see my iris round, and it transitions to there. All right, so that's what I've got. Now, when I brought in this footage, you see this footage is big. My footage was bigger than my frame. All right, like I said, I did it on purpose so I could show you how to change some of the effects controls and how to set the size and change some attributes. So if I go to my Sam Tino Hill, now I need to load this back into my source monitor so that I can edit it. So notice right now nothing's selected, everything looks normal. If I click on this once, it highlights. Okay, if I click anywhere out, it deselects. So selected, deselected. If I double click it, it loads that footage into my source monitor. All right, now notice they actually look the same size. Now that this is loaded into my source monitor, if I hit effect controls, that tab, I now can modify the attributes of this piece of footage. All right, you've got motion opacity and time remapping. Each one does different things. You've got triangles. Click the triangles so that you can expand and see what options you have. Scale means the same as size. If I put my cursor on anything yellow, any yellow numbers, you notice my little icon changes. If I click and hold, I can then drag left and right, and that's going to change that attribute, but it will allow me to actually see a real-time update of what's happening. So I can resize it down about 69. We'll get it so that I don't have any black bars on the outsides of my video, but it scales it down for me. All right, and I can still scrub. I got a scrubber here so I can see what's going on. All right, so that I've modified my scale. I can modify the rotation, click and hold it. I can rotate my footage to whatever I want. I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna undo. I could go edit, undo, or to be quick, I use Command Z. Take it off. I can come here. I can change the position of it. move it around. This first number is your X, just like in math. You have a X and Y coordinate. X goes left and right, your Y goes up and down. So if I move this Y position, it'll move up and down. Okay. So we've got our footage on there. We've resized it. My Tino Rays footage, I click on it, it'll go ahead and change it up because it loads it up in my effects controls for Tino Rays. So I can go to my motion here. If I move my slider so I can see Tino Rays, I can change its scale it down so that it fits. So I've now got my footage going from the Sam and Tino walking to an iris to Tino Rays. Alright. What if I want to modify this transition? What if it goes too fast or goes too slow? Or maybe I don't want it to, do a transition completely. Okay, I can click on the iris round area. Click on it once, highlights it, it gives me those effects controls for the iris round. This is showing you my start and my end. It really doesn't tell you much. It shows you A and B. You can click this checkbox down here, show actual sources. So you can actually see the videos. My start is where my iris is going to start at this point, the beginning of the transition. Where do I want it to start? What if I wanted it to start here, and maybe not end completely out? Maybe pull the end in so it ends there. So now, if I look at my transition, I have, there it goes. It starts already at that size instead of being small, goes out to a certain point and stops. Alright, so I can edit my transition. I can change where it sits between the two pieces, change the duration of how long it takes, all kinds of stuff. Alright, there's a bunch of stuff for you to go in here and play with. Just go in and play with it, guys. It's not about trying to mimic and copy exactly what I'm doing. Use the concepts that you're learning here to make your own stuff. Alright, to get creative and do your own thing. So that's my transition. If I want to get rid of it, I can select it, press delete on my keyboard. Transition is gone. Maybe I want to do a different transition. Page peel, page turn. Throw that in there. See what that does. I don't think I've ever actually used that one. So, boom. Turns the page. Alright. If I want to change my effects, click on it. I can see it. Reverse it. Maybe I want it to peel the opposite direction. There you go. Go in and play with this stuff, folks. Is there anything else I want to show you? Go in, find some footage. I've got this other footage, the girl MOV. It's an in and out point. Pull that footage in. You can put them, like I said, on the different channels. It really doesn't matter. But I'm gonna put it here. Maybe I want to add, a transition between these two. Dissolve, cross dissolve. Sounds good. Now you see here when I'm doing it, it's showing me that there's not enough room between this transition and this transition to have actual footage there. So if I wanted to, I can go to my effects controls, take my page turn, drop the duration from 17 seconds, make it a little bit shorter, maybe make it 10 seconds. Alright, take this cross dissolve, take its duration down from 19 seconds, put it like maybe 10 seconds. Alright, so now I should have my page turn. Tino Rays is actually there for a little while, and then it does its transition. And my girl footage is too big. Select my girl footage, go to effects controls, do my motion, scale it down so that it fits. Alright, and when you're done, you've got clips with transitions. Alright, hope you learned a lot. Go in, play around, give some stuff a try. you remember the best way to learn it is to play with it. All right, this is Mr. Bostic signing off. Have a good one.